I do apologise, guys. That was my internet that was the big issue there. We've got going, and apologies, we have missed the first lap, but we get joined back in on lap 2 of 12 in these treacherous intermediate conditions around this Montreal street circuit. And hopefully we won't have any more dropouts for the rest of the evening as we go through turn 5 and into 6. It's the first time I'm actually seeing some laps on stream, as we usually get to have a little bit of a rundown of how the lap works around each circuit in qualifying, but unfortunately we're not going to get that this evening, and we're going to have to go lap by lap as Super Calgon leading the way, obviously the constructors, and then gets the first time penalty of the 20 drivers as we see some changes of position at the back of the field. And Harry getting very close to the rear of that Scuderia as they come out of the hairpin at turn 10 and through the kink of turn 11, with yellow flags flying here as we now go down the back straight towards the final 2 corners of turns 12 and 13, and of course the all famous Wall of Champions here. And we might see some drivers just clipping or kissing or absolutely annihilating that wall on the outside of turn 13. Into turn 1 we go, where we're braking and turning all at once. And now around the hairpin of turn 2 as we now rise up the hill. We'll just make sure we are live. We certainly are. So just bear with me one moment as I just get the link, the new link in the Discord. So, coming down the back straight now, we're going to see a move from Harry. Not as of yet, of course. We're not going to have DRS in this race because there is intermediate conditions, and of course it's disabled for that part. The Ferrari there off to the left hand side, Ben T. Smith, who's losing places here as the 2 McLarens have moved up to 4th and 5th now, working in tandem together as they now brake for the final braking zone of the lap at turns 12 and 13, being ever so careful, tiptoeing through the chicane there as we go on to lap 4 of 12 of this sprint. And Mark Bowe looking for a move on the inside. He sees the door open, but it slams shut at the apex, and Liam holds on to 5th place for now. The McLaren's running 4th and 5th, with that Williams just behind them after Ben T. Smith moved over to the left for some reason and lifted off to let cars through as Super Calgon, Bennett, Ross Northover and Always Grinding, the 2 Haas cars, have got time penalties, along with, as I said, Bennett and Super Calgon in the Ferrari and the McLaren. Tail kicking out there on the Ferrari as we go down the back straight and under the advertising hoarding into the turns of 8 and 9, as there's a 3-second time penalty for Liam as we go over and up over the crest into the hairpin of turn 10. Probably the best overtaking spot in these conditions, and as I said, no DRS. We may see it in the race if we have a change in conditions when we move on to that 35 lap race, as Percival gets past Soap here down towards turn 10 as we'll get the track map back up as we usually do. And Harry is still right behind Super Calgon, filling his rear mirrors with the all green Aston Martin as we go on to now lap 5 of 12. We'll see how well the McLarens can work together to try and see if they can fight through the field here. But of course everyone just keeping it quite tame as well, because remember, this is the old sprint rules, and wherever you finish in the sprint, you'll be starting for your race. So obviously everyone just remembering that they need to stay in this, and it's important. This is really their qualifying for the 35 lap race to come. So it's all about a bit of a catch-22, finding a balance on where to go aggressive and overtaking, and just making sure to keep yourself on the track and stay out of those walls, of course. So as we now go through the slight left there into the braking of turn 10, and Little Majin going quite wide there in the murk as we go out of there and down the back straight, foot flat to the floor for around a kilometre here down towards the Wall of Champions, which was so called that in 1999 with Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher and Jacques Villeneuve all clipping the wall in that weekend's event. And since then we've had Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button and Sebastian Vettel all colliding with that all famous wall on the outside there, and so given its name. As we reach the half point of the race, we'll have a look at position changes and who's the biggest losers and winners. The biggest losers up to now, it stands out to me, is Soph in 18th place, losing 15 places from the start. His Super Striker doing very well, up to 8th place after they started both on the back row after being the reverse constructor grid and then leading the championship for the moment. Look at that, M. Harry within just over a tenth of Super Calgon, and the Mercedes Little Majin is going to start getting involved in that fight as well as we go through the second chicane, which has always been known as somewhat of an homage to a go-kart track really. It's fast flowing, loads of chicanes and heavy braking zones like we have here at the hairpin of turn 10 before we go down the casino straight towards the Wall of Champions, as we really just get gently on the throttle, not wanting to light up the rear wheels and shifting up the gears early. Overtake available for M. Harry. As you can see the orange amber light changing to green to say that he's got that battery deployment and the extra 200 horsepower underneath him. As we go down towards turn 1 once again, the rain not seeming to ease up just yet, the conditions stabilising. As you see there, Super Calgon and M. Harry both actually started cutting the grass there at turn 4, and it's that rookie error of following the car ahead of you. What they do, instead of actually looking at the apexes and the exits of corners, you really can get yourself into some sort of a trance. And Harry still unable to find the speed out of corners to get alongside into braking zones. He may have had it now as we go out of turn 9 and down towards the braking zone of turn 10. He looks to the right hand side, which is subsequently the inside line for him there. We've got this big queue forming in the mid-pack here for the final places in the top 10. Is Bobo going to make up a position here? It's crucial for him in his championship fight. Remember, 14 points behind Super Striker, who he is now behind on the racetrack as he goes side by side with Ross Northover. 2 do not go into 1, and Ross Northover was dealt the bad hand there, and he's down now in 14th place. That may have to go to the steward's room after the event has finished. I'm sure that Ross Northover might want that to be seen by the stewards after the event. But Bobo now up into 10th, and his championship rival is ahead of him. Remember, 14 points between these drivers with this and one more race after to see out the 9th season of Red Hours Racing before we move over to the next game in the EA cycle of F1 24. Smith Racing also looking feisty, getting close, as well as M. Harry still sticking there. Is this M. Harry's opportunity? It certainly is. He dives to the inside at turn 10, the hairpin. As he comes out of the corner, though, he braked slightly too late, and Super Calgon has been able to get the switchback into fence on him, and he moves back up into the lead again. They both have a 3-second time penalty, however, as M. Harry slips into the aero and then back out of it again to maybe put off his rival ahead into the braking zone, as we now go through that Wall of Champions, with all of them keeping a very big margin away from that wall and just making sure that they get to the end as we go on to lap 9 of 12 with 3/4 of the way through the race. And Super Calgon still leading after a great defensive switchback at turn 10, as we now have the entire top 5 with time penalties. I believe... Sorry. I believe... Oh, no. Apologies. I was going to say, I believe they're all on 3 seconds. That's not the case. So 3 of them are on 3 seconds. As you can see, Super Calgon, Little Magician and Liam Bennett and M. Harry have got more than that. M. Harry with 6 seconds and 9 seconds for Bennett. As Mark Bowe sneaks his way past there, as he's also looking to try and take the crown in season 9, and this sprint race could be oh so important for that as well, as we have points all the way down to 8th place. In the sprint is Liam getting very close, got the inside as we go down to the Wall of Champions chicane. The inside usually comes out on top here, but they go side by side, and actually they're able to go through unharmed. But Liam loses a place whilst trying to preserve himself in the middle of that corner. As we go down, he dives again. Maybe an opportunistic and really quite a dangerous lunge from Liam there. It was lucky he didn't actually catch Mark whilst they were going through the corner. And Mark now looking at a podium place in the sprint, as M. Harry was going quite slowly there by the looks of things, out of turn 4, through turn 5 and into the second chicane on this Gilles Villeneuve circuit, of course named after the late great Gilles Villeneuve, the Ferrari driver in the late 70s and 80s who tragically lost his life in Belgium before he was able to claim a championship with his son Jacques Villeneuve. Obviously won in the 1997 World Championship at RAR after him and Michael Schumacher came to blows at the hairpin, and he was eventually disqualified from the entire championship, and his son was able to claim a World Championship for the Villeneuve family. Out of the hairpin once again and down the Casino Straight. Mark Bowe only got a couple more opportunities here at the final chicane to get past M. Harry. I think he's forego his opportunity as Liam must have outbraked himself there. He clouts the wall on the outside for good measure, but is able to keep all 4 wheels on the car. Certainly that right front that looks in danger of being a race ender for him. Bobo on the inside of the other McLaren there, has to go around the outside, seeing it's a chicane slash hairpin really at turn 2, and Bobo now past the Alpine. And just as I say that, Bennett goes back past him again on the inside. As we go to the outside, Super Striker has to fall back and just watch the view ahead of him, and hopefully he can gain some opportunities from them fighting ahead. As I said, M. Harry was 6 seconds, so all he can do is really stay with it. He may want to get past just to get that extra buffer and maybe gain some places whilst losing them with having the time penalty. Is Mark Bowe just going to stay where he is now because he's dead set for a podium, or is the urge to get 3rd place on the roads too strong? So as we now go on to the final lap, I wonder if M. Harry was thinking about it then. He certainly was, and Super Calgon was thinking about having to defend it as well. As we look further back into the midfield, been quite quiet rather than the rest of the pack. It's been quite busy in the top 10. So the only one in the top 5 now, really in contention of any overtakes, is Mark Bowe, as he's the only one without a time penalty to his name in the top 5. Smith Racing as well, he's certainly got an opportunity to maybe snatch a podium here as well, and snatch one off his teammate as well, crucially. As Little Magin there almost goes into the wall. It was a crash. It looked like it was a crash happening in slow motion there in these conditions. The conditions have not changed whatsoever since we started around 15 minutes ago. As we go down the Casino Straight for the final time in the sprint, I think M. Harry has just decided to hold back and see where he ends up after penalties are applied. Fortunately for him, there are a few drivers who are on penalties as well. So as we come to the line, Super Calgon started on pole. He starts on pole for the race and wins the sprint in the process as well. And then Mark Bowe takes it with having no time penalties. And that means he'll be starting on pole with Super Calgon alongside him. Smith Racing gets the third place position and will be first starting on the second row with Bobo alongside him. Well done to Super Striker after starting on the back row, being able to get himself up into the top 5. Big pat on the back for him for that one. So these are your sprint results and subsequently your grid for the 35-lap race coming up. Mark Bowe will be starting on pole, Super Calgon second, third Smith Racing, Bobo will be starting fourth, Super Striker is fifth, sixth is Liam, seventh Harry, Magian is eighth, ninth is Brewdog, 10th is SLH, always grinding starting in 11th, 12th San, Bennett in 13th, 14th Percival, Tenor starting in 15th, Ross Northover 16th, 17th Murph, Soph 18th, Josh Wilco 19th and Ben T. Smith starting 20th and last, with everyone actually finishing the sprint race. So it's Super Calgon starting on pole position. I believe his best finish so far this season was second, and that was in round 2 in Monza. So starting on pole today, his first pole of the season, and there we go, we've got lovely sunshine for the race to start off with. Anyway, I don't have any idea what happened in terms of the weather conditions. It's a mystery to me. The drivers have some idea, but unfortunately I can't find out, so it's always a big surprise what can happen in the race in terms of the conditions. So again, we'll have a formation lap to get us underway. We'll have an interesting tyre strategy, I think, because everyone's got completely fresh sets of tyres throughout the board. No dry tyres have been used this evening at all. So everyone's really got, a full range of options. I think it's a majority a 2-stop race here in Canada. The pit stop line to line is around 20 to 22 seconds, give or take. And obviously you do cut out turn 1 and come out on the exit of turn 2 here on the outside. So it's quite dangerous there as well. Keep an eye out for that. Well, I certainly will anyway. But keep an eye out for drivers trying to go the long way around at turn 2 coming out of the pits. And there we go, we've got a 1-2-2 stop, medium soft soft, or hard medium, medium hard, or soft soft medium, or maybe chuck the medium in the middle of the strategy and have a quick car at the end with some light fuel. 2 drivers deciding to start on the soft tyres, 5 drivers on the hards and 13 drivers on the medium tyre to begin the race itself. So we look like we're in for a cracking race here. We're going to see DRS after 2 laps. Just to keep reminding myself as well, obviously with the 2024 rules, we have DRS after the first lap, a drag reduction system. Obviously we have to wait 2 laps before we can get that, and we have it in 3 different places here. Down this straight we're on now, down the back straight of the casino straight, and then down the start finish towards turn 1 of course. So Mark Bowe on pole for the race here, the 35-lap race. Ben T. Smith starting on the back row. After those 2 actually started on the front row, the 2 Ferraris, so Ben T. Smith couldn't have done any worse, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, as we go into the hairpin. I didn't just quite catch who's left or joined the session, but hopefully we'll have everyone in for the start. So of course, if you are a regular here, make sure to check us out again next week around 8:15 Greenwich Mean Time for the final race in Red Arrows Racing in Japan. We're going to have the same format like we did in Paul Ricard, France, where we had the three tyre compounds having to be used for the race. So it's a mandatory two-stop, and it made things very interesting. So obviously we've had a bit of a mix-up of formats this season, and I think it's been a great success when we've had this different sprint event. And obviously now it's mixed up the order of the teams after they started in reverse constructors order. Super Calgon, Super Striker have both been disqualified, which means they went too long in the box and they've been pushed back, and now going to be starting a good 2 or 3 meters away from that yellow line on the floor, where you can see with Mark Bowe as we're about to get ready to get underway. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 red lights, and we're away for the 8th round of the season in Red Arrows Racing. Mark Bowe gets a lovely launch here. Bobo as well, as he gets past Smith Racing in towards turn 1 we go now. And the Aston Martin and McLaren going side by side through turn 2 as we now exit and go up the hill towards the chicane of turns 3 and 4, as Mark Bowe still leads us through the middle sector, towards the middle sector. We got Mark, followed by Super Calgon, Bobo, Smith Racing, and then Liam down in 5th. We got a yellow flag in the first sector. That's Ross Northover, who is spun around and is down at the very back now as we go down the back straight towards the chicane of turns 8 and 9. Remember, DRS not available for the first couple of laps, so we've only got the overtake button and slipstream available to us. And we haven't seen too many position gains in the first lap, or position losses as well, as we go down into the hairpin here and we look further back. The Ferrari of Ben T. Smith moved up only 1 place after starting at the back, and that's Ross Northover who lost the position there, as Mark Bowe still leads as we're about to start the second lap. As we see there, the Red Bull of Murph thought about it. He was looking to the inside. Oh, sorry, Josh Wilco was looking to the inside. As we go on to lap 2, Mark Bowe, of course, takes the fastest lap as we now go down into turn 1 again, as Josh Wilco gets super close to the back of Soph's Aston Martin, and now does the switchback, comes together, a bit of a wheel bang there between the two, but he's crucially got the inside line at turn 3, but has to back out as Soph outbrakes him into that corner, as Mark Bowe almost gained a second on his rival in second. Lillemajin thinking about it here. There's definitely a cluster of cars in the midfield as Lillemajin goes wide, and that opens the door up for the AlphaTauri of SLH as we go down towards the hairpin. He's going to have to outbrake the Mercedes driver here and go the long way round. He's going to try the scenic route, but it hasn't amounted to anything just yet. But when we get on the throttle pedal and we get down the middle of the straight, maybe he now has the momentum, but no, has to slip back into the aero and wait for another opportunity to appear. As we now have DRS enabled for the first time this evening after having a wet and damp conditions in the sprint. The top 3 all within that golden 1 second window to get DRS on one another. Of course, Mark Bowe being the only one that will not be able to get it, and at any point in a race, the leader is the only one that can't get it unless he's overtaking back markers. As we get down to around 1/10 between the 2 British teams and 2 British drivers, Liam and M. Harry, as they go through turn 9 and slightly uphill and left-handed towards the hairpin. Seen some very famous moments here. Robert Kubica, of course, in 2007 for BMW Sauber, who had that awful accident and was out for a few races after that. Tenor has left the session. Hopefully they can get back in. as Bobo gets past Super Calgon there into the wall of champions. And it's still the Williams of Mark Bowe leading us on to lap 3. He's hoping to take a third win this season, after winning last time out in the streets of Las Vegas in the heart of Nevada. Absolutely cracking race last week as well. The strategy was definitely one of the big points of the race last week, like it always is in Las Vegas, with the slippery street circuit that it is and the cold conditions at night as well, which I think Formula One didn't realise that it can get quite cold in the desert. So this top 3 still within DRS. Anyone going to go for a dive into the hairpin? It's a good place to go for a move, seeing as the detection point for the DRS is just before the hairpin. The activation point is right about here, as you see the rear wings now open on the cars. And if you get the move done into the hairpin, of course you can start flying off down the road once you've already got ahead of them, and then you get another dose of DRS down the start finish, as that detection point is the activation for both of these straights, as Mark Bowe loses the lead for the first time today as we go on to lap 5. And Liam and M. Harry once again squabbling for position, as the man from Yorkshire goes quite wide in the hairpin there as we now go down the hill into turns 3 and 4. As we have the first retiree of the day, that's Percival, and we have a safety car deployed. And he's lost the car on the exit of turn 2. It's a very treacherous traction zone there, as you're kind of going slightly right-handed and uphill all at the same time. If you're running no traction control, you just have to treat it oh so carefully, the right pedal. And if you don't, there's an example of what can happen to you. So I don't think 10 is in the session. I'll try and get him back in, so just bear with me 1 minute. Apologies for that, I wasn't able to actually get him into the session, as we have a few drivers now coming into the pits. As we've got soft tyres on for Little Majin here. Of course, this is the only racing that can happen. As Percival says in the comments, that's not what I wanted to do. I don't think it's what anyone wants to do in racing, is end up in the wall, but hopefully you can stay around for the stream. So we'll have the safety car for this lap and the next. We'll probably get going on lap 8, and everything resets again in terms of DRS, that kind of thing. No one really opting to pit yet. It is a little early on. The drivers who are on the softs, I think they had to pit. It's too much of a gift for them to pass by them, but everyone else decided they want to stay out. And as we know, the heat cycle in F1 23, in terms of when you have heated up the tyres, got the temperature in, and then you slow down to here and lose all that temperature pressure in the tyres as well. This game has not been great at managing the reheat cycle on the tyre, and you don't seem to have anywhere near as much grip as you did before the next heat cycle rather than recycle. Next heat cycle. But when everyone is pretty much in the same boat, it's not so much of a problem. Keep an eye out on Murph and Little Majin, who have both pit, especially Little Majin, because he's on softs. He's definitely going to have to pit again. I think he's opting to go for 8-10 laps, then go to the medium tyre till the end. What are we saying? Could be doing about 16-17 laps on the mediums. I think that would be doable. So as I said, we'll have this lap, and then hopefully we'll get the call that the safety car's in this lap, and we should get that in about 15 seconds time after this chicane. Should be right about now that we get the call that the safety car's in. There we go. So Bobo now dictates the pace until the restart line, until the start-finish line, should I say, but that's where we do restart. And you can't overtake until that start-finish line. So Bobo dictates the pace here, keeps a minimum speed that he wants, and makes sure that he doesn't speed up and slow down all too much. And then once he hits pedal to the metal, we know we're going to get green flag racing again. But remember, no overtaking until the start-finish line. We might see the odd little dive into turn one, but still, that's the only place we are going to see it. Nothing into the final corner here. And Bobo can go when he likes. He's doing a bit of a weave to warm up the tyres as he gets back racing again. We get Tenner back in the session as well, and he gets a slight jump on his rival Mark Bowe as these two are fighting for the title. And like I said, we might see a lunge or two into turn one, as we see Murph getting past Tenner there, but he's ghosting because he's not in the lobby and not in his car operating it, so it's being controlled by the game. Brewdog very close to the back of our championship leader, Super Striker here, and is that a move from Bennett? No, he definitely thought about it on the other AlphaTauri. The AlphaTauri is running in tandem at the moment. Super Calgon maybe not enjoying the grip that he's got underneath him now after having to reheat the tyres. And Harry looking confident though as they come out of the hairpin at turn 10. Ducks into the slipstream, pulls back out again as he has superior straight line speed to Smith Racing. He may have got a poor exit, he may be running with a bit more downforce. This is a track where we have medium to low downforce here due to all the straights around here and the DRS zones to boot as well. As we go on to lap 9 of 35, we've got Bobo leading us as Liam again going for a move on the outside at turn 1. We saw it earlier on, but he lost out then as he tries to overtake the championship leader into turn 3. He's on the outside. We've got yellow flags again. That's in turns 1 and 2, where we get green flags once again as Brewdog is in a McLaren sandwich here as he has to pull to the left hand side to defend and potentially attack on Liam, but no, not just yet. He holds on to 8th place and doesn't go any further forwards or backwards. He might be going backwards now though as Bennett looks to the inside at turn 9. This will be a lovely move if he gets it done. He certainly does. And now the AlphaTauris are behind both McLarens, both working to get past. The Italian outfit is the AlphaTauri once again coming back. The junior Red Bull team moving back up into 8th place and getting past the Papaya McLaren. Bennett moves back again, rolls reverse once again as Bennett moves back up just, and DRS is enabled once again as we go on to lap 10, and Smith Racing has left the session as well. I'll try and give him an invite if I can. I can't. For some reason the game won't let me, so that's unfortunate. Hopefully they'll be able to get back in. It looked like Liam was going sideways there into turn 5 as he gets close to Smith Racing, who of course isn't here at the moment, so he's going to drop like a rock. Bobo has been able to break that golden 1 second window. And just as I say that, commentator's curse as Ben T. Smith is around, and I think we've had a bit of a premature safety car there, second one of the day. Adrian, I'm not too sure how you can get back. I've tried to invite you. If you add me as a friend, actually, I'll add you as a friend. Are you Tenor? Obviously, it comes up with your real life name rather than your gamer tag. Or is it Smith? Anyway, I'll add the pair of you, and we'll go from there. And then try and request an invite off me. That may work. That may get you back in. And obviously, this is the best time. So, Tenor, I have sent you a friend request. So, if you want to accept that, we'll try and get you back in. Welcome, everyone who's just starting to watch. You're watching the penultimate round of Season 9 of Red Arrows Racing. Before we move on to the next game in the Formula 1 franchise, F1 24. Keep hitting that subscribe button. Over 500 subscribers to this channel. Make sure you like the video as well. Click that like button. It would be much appreciated. Just let me know when you've had it be 10. It should usually come up with a notification for me, but I haven't seen anything just yet. So, just to recap, we've got Super Striker coming in to round 8. He's leading the championship on 222 points. Obviously, that may have changed. No request. Okay, bear with me a sec, Tenor. It's not letting me do anything because you've got some private settings on. So just bear with me. I'll try and... I'm just going to pop a comment in of the channel. Of my PSN. Apologies for that. I just had to send that in the live stream. So that should be with you. It's from Worldwide Racing TV, Tenor. So if you just want to add that very quickly. We have got safety car in this lap though, so if you can be quick, that would be appreciated. Super Striker, of course, is going to lead us away with the 2 McLarens behind them. And then we've got the second Red Bull team, the AlphaTauri of SLH, and then the 2 Alpines after that in 5th and 6th. So as we wait to get started again, I'm sure Super Striker will go out of this corner here, as he certainly does, and we get back racing again as Bennett has got himself a 3-second time penalty out of the final corner, and that means both McLarens have got themselves a time penalty. We've got a yellow flag at the back. I'm not sure why. Tenor's car is in the pits at the worst time possible, and that just rubs salt into the wounds as Super Striker leads us through turns 2, 3 and now 4. Bobo looking quick here. Is he going to look to a lunge at turn 5? Slightly too much risk for him, I would think, at that corner. as Brewdog now gets past Smith Racing. As we see that happen, Bobo now gets past as Little Majin gets past San as well. And the two Rebels getting close, Super Calgon and Ross Northover come together there as Super Calgon goes to the runoff and through the designated bollard to not get himself a penalty, but does somehow stay ahead of Ross Northover. I'm sure he's going to have to give that place back as M. Harry looks to the outside, and now San is into the wall at turn 1. Remember, we have got ghosting in red arrows, so hopefully no one was collected by the stricken car. As here comes Brewdog eyeing up the move after San has had that mistake. His confidence is going to be down. Brewdog knows he's vulnerable here, and he has now gotten past down the back straight. Traction was much better from him in that car as M. Harry now gets past San as well. As we go back towards the front, Bobo eyeing up a place, eyeing up one of the McLarens as the other is just ahead of him. As Bennett looks like he moves across there back to the racing line, knowing that Bobo wasn't going to be able to get alongside him into the corner as we exit, and the traction is beautiful from the McLaren of Bennett. So the two McLarens go side by side into turn 1, and Bennett moves from third to second as Little Majin is trying to go the long way round on the Alpha Tauri. Here is Liam now losing a place to Bobo as well, or is he? As he now fights back through turns 3 and 4, and it's just roles reverse for Bennett and Liam. Sorry about that, I just had to get an invite sent out to Tenor, who I have, which I have done now. As I was doing that, Super Calgon getting past Josh Wilco and also getting the back end out on that Ferrari as well. Struggling with the rear end by the looks of things in the mid corner, and loads of overtakes happening on lap 15 here. It's too much to keep up with. And Liam again with Bennett going side by side through the final corner. It's not often that you see that. We now get Tenor back into the session, thankfully, as Little Majin now takes that opportunity with both hands and goes up into third place. Those three all got time penalties though. Again, the two McLarens fighting together and actually not doing themselves any favours and slowing each other up and letting other cars get involved as we've got yellow flags flying. That's for Super Calgon, who had obviously been facing in the wrong direction, as the two Hasses as well fighting through turns 3 and 4. Teammate battles are plenty here in Montreal. Mark Bowe having a lot. So you press the square button, Tenor, and then click on your name like this, like I'm doing on the stream, and then you should be able to take control. I can't do it obviously because I've not been in your car, but that button should be available to you. You go down the back straight, getting up to over 200 miles an hour, and SLH facing in the wrong direction at the Wall of Champions. He's been one of the first victims today of that famous wall. So Super Striker now in the lead and got 1.8 seconds in hand to the next car. One little mistake though would bring Bobo back within that magic 1 second margin. Are we going to see a move into turn 10 here from Mark Bowe? No, we're not. Just single file and concertinaing up through the hairpin. But always grinding, gets past at that corner. Unfortunately, we missed that one. His little Majin now moves past the other McLaren. Back into third place. As Bennett gets a super launch out of the chicane. And he was one not to get DRS. They're both flashing away at the rear of the car. It's not a brake light, it's to indicate that they're deracing. Deracing meaning that the battery is almost at zero and they're in a harvesting stage. Of course, these cars being hybrids, and you get the energy back under extreme braking. So remember, a lot of the drivers at the front still yet to have made a pit stop. 3 of them to be precise, but everyone else had done under that last safety car and took that second opportunity to pit. As Harry and Brewdog here in the McLaren of Liam just ahead and Bennett, sorry, are fighting away down the casino straight. Super Calgon trying to get past, still trying to get past here as they've come together a few times, and then Josh Wilco went into the back of him. His little Majin gets himself a pit stop and gets a fresh set of tyres, and once we come out of turn 1 and 2, it looks like Super Calgon is back into 10th place, but there's certainly going to be a lot of paint scrubbed off the side of the wheels and cars after all the wheel banging through the final corner. Super Striker must have made an error, or Bobo's had the lap of his life, because he's now within a third of a second of his championship rival. Just remember, these two are first and second, 14 points between the two of them. And Super Striker having a time penalty as well. So can't really afford for this man to get into the lead. He's going to close the gap down as we go into the final race. If we stay like this, and as we go through the wall of champions, I don't know how, again, none of them have been collected into that wall, but Harry losing a place or two as Liam gets past, and now Murph trying to go up the inside of Brewdog as he tries to defend the position. Overtakes are plenty at the moment as Bennett now comes out of the pitch right alongside Little Majin. He does have the outside line. He's going to have good traction out of the corner, but the tyres are not going to be up to temperature yet, and decides not to back out of it and try and hold on the outside, which will return to the inside at 4, but he had to back out in the end, and he's just going to have to nurse the tyres up to temperature. So you know the tyre blankets are set to 70 degrees, and the operational window of these tyres are over 100 degrees C, as Bennett now has the opportunity to get past with the tyres being up to a reasonable temperature now. And we've now seen our championship leader come into the pits for a set of mediums. And where will that mean? What does that mean in terms of where he'll come out on the racetrack here? Remember, he can cut turn 1. He's going to pop out next to the Haas of Ross Northover and Josh Wilco, and he slots between the two. Nicely done now. Almost a bit of parallel parking at 100 miles an hour to slot between them as nicely as he did, and gets a fantastic launch out of turn 4. But had to ease off the throttle as the gap wasn't sufficient enough for him to take the risk. As we go out of turn 6, however, on turn 7. With the aid of the DRS, he's back up into 8th place, and now for the next 15 laps he's going to have to set quali lap after quali lap in terms of lap time, because as it stands he's 20.7 seconds behind the leader, as we see again drivers going side by side through the wall of champions, and it is a rarity to see it. As we usually say, as I said earlier on, 2 don't go into 1, but at the moment they seemingly do. Sometimes not all that well though, because we've seen a lot of drivers coming together wheel to wheel, literally. And where's Ross Northover now going to pop out as San goes past, and SLH is now coming down the start finish, so Ross Northover is going to come out just behind San, around 2 seconds behind, maybe 3 or 4 actually. Bobo now 10.5 seconds in the lead, always grinding the American up into 3rd place after starting in the midfield in the sprint and again in the race. And these guys all potentially thinking about going long and going to the end on this hard tyre, but they are going to have drivers on mediums behind them who are going to be lapping 1 to 2 seconds a lap faster than they are, as Mark Brewdog goes past, always grinding there, and now he's into 3rd place, but remember he has got a time penalty. A 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, going out of the going off the racetrack, off the line of play. As we always say, people argue about the white lines and things, but in other grass sports, if the ball goes over the white line in football, it's a throw-in or a goal kick or corner, etc, etc. So it's no different for these guys here. So Smith Racing also in the pits for a new set of softs, doing a double soft strategy by the looks of things. He's on that other set of softs for 11 laps. So Bobo looking super comfortable in the lead. And this is exactly what he needs to do to stay in contention in terms of the championship. He's 14 points behind, so he just needs to win the next 2 and hope the cards fall in the right direction for him in terms of Mark Bow and Super Striker. Because just winning won't be enough for him. Looking slightly further back to the driver who is leading the championship, Super Striker, to the right hand side, to the inside, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, job done from the Alfa Romeo driver, and now he's got his sights on the Haas. Always grinding, however, will have DRS down the casino straight. As they all move to the right hand side, trying to break the toe. Always grinding now shows him the outside. Gets himself a 3-second time penalty as well for maybe being over aggressive and going over the curbs, and as I said before, outside the lines of play, out all 4 wheels over the white line. So the majority of the field now having time penalties. And just remember, we've got 17 out of 20 left in the race, as Tenner has left the session again, and his car is ghosting, and that's why he's all the way down at the back and around 25 seconds behind the next car. So 17 of the 20 still remain, and once we cross the line we're going to have 10 laps to go. As Bennett gets past Murph here, who's facing the wrong direction. I only just caught the last bit of that. And as he gets himself back on the circuit, trying to do it correctly. Should have been slightly to the left of that orange sausage curb. But no matter, is Super Striker again. Getting an overtake done and up into third place. And as I said, quality lap after quality lap for him and on the charge. But does have a 3-second time penalty to worry about at the end. But of the 17 drivers that remain, 15 of them have time penalties. Only the top 2 have been able to keep it, all 4 wheels within the white lines. Super Striker already on the back of the Williams of Mark Bowe. This should be easy work for him. Just let the DRS do the work. Slots back to the racing line, and that second place is now his, and he now technically has to gain around 15.5 seconds in the next 9 laps. Unless Bobo gets a time penalty. And at the moment, Bobo has no warnings to his name. Remember, it's 2 warnings, and the third one, you get that 3-second time penalty. So he's kept it very, very clean. But the medium tyres look very quick. Is this tyre advantage going to pay off for him, or is he going to use the majority of the life of that tyre actually trying to catch up to Bobo and will have nothing left at the end? And just further back in that midfield, Super Striker and Liam fighting tooth and nail for 9th place, along with Lil Majin. Here comes Liam again, pulling to the inside, trying to take the advantage that the inside gives him as he gets a clout from the rear of that Mercedes, who is able to keep it in a straight line and able to keep the place as well. So lovely car control from him. 9.5 seconds or so is the gap between Bobo and Super Striker, and has got the fastest lap as well. And as I say that, Sam then takes the fastest lap down in 15th. Murph also going very, very quickly. But Super Striker clearly much faster than Bobo. A 20, well, here we go. So it was a 1:15.2 for Bobo on that lap. It's a 1:13.9 for Super Striker. So 1.3 seconds faster on that lap than our race leader. But can he keep up that pace for the next 7 laps? And just remember, getting past is only a part of the challenge. The other one is to get 3 seconds down the road to confirm that he will have the race win. If it stays like this though, Super Striker would still be leading the championship going into the final round at Suzuka. But I believe instead of being a 14-point gap. It would come down to a 9-point gap between the two. We've got a yellow flag. We've got the third safety car of the evening, and it's a incident at the final corner at the Wall of Champions. It's had a victim this evening, and that could really change the whole dynamic of the final part of this race. Is pretty much everyone is going to come in. Well, I say pretty much everyone. I think everyone will come into the pits and get a fresh set of softs on. Everyone should have a fresh set available to them. Drive-through penalty for both Ross Northover and SLH for speeding under the safety car and just not following the Delta time. And for that, SLH is retired and actually hit the wall in the middle of the Casino Straight. I have no idea how he's done that. Liam has decided to stay out and take second place and optimise track position. I think he's just hoping for the fact that there isn't going to be too many laps left and not too many laps for him to defend and hold on with what I guess would be very white knuckles, because as I said earlier on, the tyre offset on a heat cycle, another heat cycle, is really not a good idea against fresh tyres, especially soft tyres, the fastest of the range. So the penalties that everyone has, Liam's got 6 seconds, and to be fair, 3 second time penalties look like they're the minority over the majority, being 6, I believe. But Bobo's still in a very good position, obviously being in the best position on the racetrack, but also not having a time penalty, not having any warnings either. I think he hopes that Liam's going to put up a fight for him. So we will be finishing this lap and then the next as well under the safety car. We'll get going on lap 33. We'll have DRS for 1 lap, unless we get the call now, but I don't think we will. As you can see in the bottom right corner, we're still waiting on a couple of cars to catch up. As Adrian, aka Tenor, says in the comments, it's Mark Bonet second at the moment. It certainly is. And we talked about Bobo having no warnings. What about Mark Bow? He's got 1. Yeah, he's got 1 corner cutting warning. He's actually got 3 warnings, so it doesn't tell me what the other 2 are for. So we'll also have a quick look at the position changes. Not been a great evening for Smith Racing. pretty decent for Brewdog. He's up there in 4th, but remember, time penalties is going to change things around. Josh Wilco, decent for him as well, up 8 places. So we should get the call. Safety car in this lap any second as we wait for the AI car of Smith Racing. I believe we're down to 13 now of the 20 that started, and we should get the safety car notification in now. It's been a bit unfortunate. We've had quite a few safety cars this evening. But if you want a safety car at any point for some drama, now's the time. With only 3 laps to go, a very mini sprint race with the majority on the soft tyre, the new soft tyre for them. Keep an eye out for Liam, obviously old mediums for him, opting to take track position. We'll see how that pays off for him. Batteries are all recharged. We'll definitely have enough fuel to the end for everyone. And when does Bobo go? Probably out of the final corner. He does, right on the exit of the final corner. And we get back racing again for 3 more laps as we go on to lap 33 of 35. And into turn 1. Anyone going to think about a position change? Murph does, but that's on a ghosted car. As Sam goes past as well. As Super Striker makes up a place here, but he's going sideways. It's caused a collision. A few cars have been involved in that, and it's actually now caused a bit of a traffic jam between turns 5 and 6. And we've got the Aston Martin now clouting the rear. It's all going haywire in the last few laps of this race, and positions are up for grabs everywhere now as it's absolute chaos on the racetrack. As Bennett gets past and Liam is down to 7th already as Brewdog is up into 2nd place, and Mark Bowe, one of the drivers who was in the championship fight, now down in 13th and is going to be getting very minimal points today as Bobo is 2.7 seconds in the lead. And we've got another car round. It's Liam in the McLaren on that used medium tyre, and he's down now at the very back. Little Majin trying to go the long way round. We've seen it 1 or 2 times today already, and it's paid off once again, or has it, as he doesn't get the best mid-corner and loses the position as well, as Super Striker now moves up on Brewdog as well, and Bennett at turn 1 also. M. Harry is out in the pit lane. I think he's retired in the pits as Liam comes into the pits as well. We'll see if he'll carry on to the end. Josh Wilco thinking about it here at turn 3. So we'll go back to the penalties because that's going to decide a lot. Brewdog and Super Striker both are in the same boat here, so they're really both fighting now for 2nd place. Be a fabulous effort from Brewdog if he can get past Super Striker. Of course, Bobo's going to have his fingers crossed that that could be the case, so he can close the gap even more. As we got DRS and we're on to the final lap. Absolute chaos after that final safety car, and everyone getting a little hot under the collar as Murph now goes past Little Majin into turn 1 and goes up into 7th. A lot of these guys now have 3-second time penalties in the middle of the top 10. Only Bennett has a significant amount, along with Little Majin, both having 9 seconds, so they are going to drop down. And Brewdog now losing ground, unfortunately, to Super Striker, who's desperately trying to get within that 1 second margin, but he hasn't got enough time to gain 3 seconds on his championship rival. And it looks like it's going to stay like this. It's going to be a 9-point gap between the two as we go on to Suzuka next week for the final round of the season and the final round of Red Arrows Racing on F1 23 as we go down the Casino Straight for the final time this evening. We'll keep an eye on the midfield as well to see if anyone makes up a place or not. as we go around the final corner of the Wall of Champions. Mark Bowe hasn't won since the first 4 rounds, but he takes his 5th win of the season. Super Striker takes fastest lap as well. That may shrink the gap more into his favour. Brewdog takes 3rd, and it's a very, very close finish between a few of them at the end. Look at that between the 2 Red Bulls, 0.2 of a second, and Mark Bowe 0.1 with all those penalties applied as we wait for Always Grinding, Smith Racing and Liam to finish the race. I'm just seeing if Liam is trying to take the fastest lap. Is he going to take it? He certainly is. He snatches that fastest lap point away from Super Striker, but there's your race winner for the 5th time this season, Bobo. And he's closed that gap down to a 9-point deficit going into the final round. So here's the final order today. Bobo finished with his 5th win of the season. Super Striker takes another podium this season. Brewdog takes his 1st podium of the season. Super Calgon was 4th. Murph was 5th. 6th was Josh Wilco. 7th, Mark Bowe. 8th, Bennett. San, 9th. 10, Little Majin. 11th, Always Grinding. 12th, Smith Racing. Liam finished 13th and last. The drivers who did not finish were Tenor, M. Harry, Ross Northover, SLH, Soph, Ben T. Smith and Percival. So like I said, join us next week around 8:15 UK time next Monday for the final round of Red Arrows Racing to see who will be crowned champion. And I think if my maths is right, it's only now between Bobo and Super Striker for the championship. Thanks very much for watching. Keep subscribing to the channel and like the video as well if you've enjoyed the race, or races should I say, from today. And join us next week for the final round of season 9.